Although the moon is the closest celestial body to us, it still holds great enigmas, and researchers have begun to unravel secrets that defy our understanding. The hidden face of the moon, that enigmatic half that has always been out of our visual reach, has recently revealed unknown structures that have ignited the spark of scientific curiosity. These formations, discovered thanks to advanced technologies, hide something intriguing that has remained hidden for millions of years. But it is not only these structures that intrigue scientists. Under the lunar surface, a previously unknown activity has been detected that suggests more complex internal and dynamic processes than previously thought. These activities and the strange marks on the surface have led experts to develop new theories that could rewrite our history of space. As these mysteries are revealed, NASA has issued surprising warnings. There are areas of the moon that are recommended not to approach. What secrets do these restricted areas hide, and what implications do they have for our future exploration? Swirls and magnetic activity. Astronomers have been intrigued for years by strange swirls that decorate the moon's surface. These swirls are so large that they can stretch for hundreds of miles. And the most incredible thing is that they can be seen even with amateur telescopes from Earth. Although these swirls have been the subject of many studies, their origin remains a complete mystery. What could be causing these peculiar formations on our moon? Over the years, we have speculated about many possible causes for these lunar swirls, but we have never had a clear answer. Until now, no one knows exactly why these swirls exist. No astronaut, human or robotic, has had the opportunity to visit these enigmatic regions, but that hasn't stopped scientists on Earth. Using images and magnetic field data provided by NASA, they have been able to uncover some fascinating secrets about these swirls. Thanks to these studies, we have discovered that lunar swirls are found in areas with very peculiar magnetic anomalies, and each swirl seems to be associated with one of these zones, suggesting that magnetism plays a crucial role in their formation. A team of researchers has proposed an exciting new theory. According to them, these swirls could be caused by underground lava and strange magnetic anomalies on the moon. Yes, you heard right, underground lava and magnetism. These processes could have shaped the lunar surface that we know today. According to Michael J. Kroksinski, meteorite impacts on the lunar surface could be the cause of these magnetic anomalies. When a meteorite hits the moon, it brings with it a lot of iron-rich material, and this should create the swirl-shaped magnetic anomalies. But here comes the most curious part. These swirls appear in places that have not been hit by meteorites. So this theory may not be the right one. So what is causing these mysterious shapes? This is where a more exciting theory comes into play. You've heard of underground magma. Imagine that beneath the moon there are rivers of molten rock that are slowly cooling. There may still be underground magma on the moon from its formation process. As this magma cools in a magnetic field, it could be creating these magnetic anomalies. Scientists have previously tried to understand lunar magnetism by studying terrestrial rocks that are similar to those on the moon. But on Earth, rocks are magnetized more easily because they contain pieces of a mineral called magnetite, which is supermagnetic. This is like having tiny magnets inside the rocks. And here comes the interesting detail. Many of the studies on Earth focus on magnetite, but this highly magnetic mineral is not found on the moon, so we need another strategy. Kroksinski and his team decided to do something different. Instead of going down the route with magnetite, they opted for ilmenite for their studies. This mineral is like a little hidden gem on the moon that could unlock many secrets about its magnetism. With this new strategy, scientists are one step closer to understanding how magnetism works on the moon. Imagine what we could discover about our natural satellite. When experiments worked with the really small grains of ilmenite, something incredible was discovered. The smaller the grains, the stronger the magnetic fields they create. This is because smaller grains have a higher surface-to-volume ratio. In other words, they have more exposed surface area, which facilitates the reactions that create magnetic fields. Do you remember the Apollo missions? Astronauts brought back samples from the moon, and we saw that rocks there also become magnetic. But what happens beneath the surface of the moon? Evidence of residual magma. Scientists believe that there is magma or molten rock beneath the surface of the moon that can also become magnetic. That could be creating these strange eddies. It means that the interior of the moon is full of magma, but denser than Earth's. Its slower movement, the lack of tectonic plates and fissures in the crust, and the lack of internal heat prevent magma from rising to the surface. Now much of the mystery of the moon's interior has been uncovered by China's Chang'e 4 mission, which has discovered structures that had remained hidden and that reveal a great geological history about the moon's formation. The real interior of the moon. The Chang'e 4 mission has become the first spacecraft to land on the far side of the moon and has surprised us with impressive images, gigantic impact craters, and has also collected samples giving very valuable information to scientists. The six-wheeled, 140 kg U-2 rover, with its lunar penetrating radar, has mapped at least 300 m below the surface in more detail than any previous probe, and has found hidden structures. In the first 40 m below the surface on the far side of the moon, there are several layers of dust and other debris. One of them is a large impact crater. There are 5 different layers of lunar lava, which once emerged on the lunar landscape. The first layer is the crust and is thicker than the Earth's crust, plus several pockets of magma through surface crevasses. According to this evidence, volcanic activity ceased and the moon cooled little by little since its formation. More than 4.5 billion years ago, when an object of a size similar to Mars collided with the Earth, and its remains formed the moon. For 200 million years, the moon was bombarded by meteorites that cracked the surface, allowing magma to seep through volcanic eruptions. The new data brought by Chang'e 4 shows that lunar volcanic activity was gradually decreasing over time. The layers of volcanic rock become thinner the closer we are to the surface. The moon is now a body that seems dead. This tells us that about a billion and millions of years ago, the moon stopped being the volcanic and active place that it was and became a calmer place. Metallic structure of 300 kilometers. And pay attention because this is one of the strangest and most important discoveries of recent years. A team from Baylor University in Texas has detected a gigantic metallic structure that is hidden in one of the giant craters of hundreds of kilometers in diameter at the lunar South Pole. Specifically, the Aitken Basin, and it cannot be seen from Earth, only with sensors and probes that can reach that area. We do not know what that structure is, but we do know that it extends to a depth of 300 kilometers and a mass of 2.18 times 10 raised to 18 kilograms. And it is 5 times larger than the island of Hawaii. We have 2 theories that can explain it. Either it was a gigantic ball of magma that crystallized, or the remains of a huge metallic asteroid impact. The really curious thing is that in that area the force of gravity is greater than the rest of the moon. This is probably due to its metallic composition, and in addition, this structure is sinking further, taking the soil of the moon with it. It is possible that the moon is not completely dead from a geological point of view. Discovering what is inside the moon is fascinating. The best way to discover the past of the planets is always to look inside, and with this, one of the most widespread lunar myths is refuted, which told us that the moon was a gigantic spaceship, or that it had cavities. However, there are certain places on the moon that are prohibited to access and not to approach, and this is something that surprises us. And it is related to something that I will tell you about later. New mineral and potential resources. Another significant discovery is that they have discovered a new mineral on the moon that we have never seen before. Name change site, it contains the element helium-3, which is useful for fueling nuclear fusion reactions. Another historic discovery is that the Chang'e 5 mission has found natural graphene, formed by the influence of the solar wind and volcanic eruptions. This is simply impressive, because graphene is a substance 200 times stronger than steel and more flexible than aluminum. It is the main basis for building electronic components, materials, shields, solar cells, and much more. In addition, the presence of water ice in craters at the lunar South Pole confirms that water is more widespread than ever in all the stars we know. Today we waste water and suffer from scarcity due to climate change and human activities. But there is no doubt that in the future it will become a very valuable resource. The findings from the Chang'e 4 and Chang'e 5 missions have opened a door to a new world of discovery. Thanks to these studies, we have detailed maps of what lies beneath the lunar surface, and this will help us in future explorations. They are telling us incredible things about how the moon was formed and evolved, and who knows, maybe even about the history of our solar system. The moon will undoubtedly be a hot topic in the coming years, especially in the upcoming manned trips to our satellite. And pay attention, because NASA has warned that there are certain places that should not be approached or landed on. This is particularly relevant in the context of the increasing lunar activity by space agencies and private companies. Do not come here. 6 areas have been emphasized, and that you should not come closer than 2 kilometers here. The areas are the Apollo landing sites and other places of interest on the moon. These guidelines are designed to preserve the historical and scientific integrity of these places. Apollo landing sites contain artifacts and traces that are valuable to both history and science. For example, footprints left by astronauts and flags planted on the lunar surface are of great historical interest. The artifacts and surrounding terrain at these sites offer unique opportunities for research. Scientists can study how the lunar environment affects objects over time. Exclusion zones are established around landing sites, where no activities can be conducted that might disturb the area. For example, for Apollo 11, an exclusion zone of approximately 75 m around the lunar module is recommended. Spacecraft should avoid low-flying over landing sites to prevent disturbance from lunar dust that could damage the areas, and it is urged not to touch or disturb artifacts left on the moon such as rovers, landers, and other scientific equipment. I wonder if in the future space, where it is now a virgin and free territory, will become a territory controlled by companies with restricted access zones, tolls, and taxes. However, space is very large and has enormous potential for development. We are just beginning to discover it with our robotic ships. These exploration works will help us to understand our satellite better, and to extract natural resources from the moon in order to create a launch platform and a lunar base. From here, we will surely begin human exploration of the solar system and the long-awaited trip to Mars. As we advance in our exploration, the moon offers us valuable lessons. It shows us that the universe is a place in constant change and evolution, and that each celestial body has a unique story to tell, and each discovery is one more step in our wonderful cosmic journey.